Now we will speak on two further acharyas, or two of the six Goswamis. Previously we discussed Raghunatha Goswami, Bhatta Goswami, and now we will discuss Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami and Jiva Goswami. That the first Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami was quite a simple devotee, but he got the order of Lord Chaitanya to preach the Bhagavatam. And by his order, he remained a lifelong brahmachari. That lifelong Naistika brahmachari is a brahmachari since birth. Well, never married, no relationship with women. That his service was the constant. The service he got from Lord Chaitanya. You should constantly chant Hare Krishna and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Very simple. But he was also a good cook. He satisfied Lord Chaitanya by exceptional cooking and by his beautiful kirtans. Therefore, Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami got the title of Kirtan Acharya, the leaders of all kirtan. So when he came later to Vrindavan, the Vaishnavas, also Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they would rarely listen to his reciting of the Bhagavatam, because he could chant each verse in 4 tunes. And his recitation was so beautiful, unparalleled. Even Vyasadeva enjoyed it. It is that 4, and he would chant it as sweet as a cuckoo. But it's good to learn these meters of chanting. We have different meters also according to the number of syllables in the verse. We have different verses. I heard it first from one of the first devotees I met was Vishnu Goswami, and the old Gujarati Swami. He left us already 15 years ago, but he could sing so sweetly the Bhagavatam. And I learned from him this many melodies. Tashevaito Bhamadavakavidum. Tashevaito Bhamadavakavidum. I don't remember the old verse. But his verses were very beautiful. How he sung it. It's a certain meter. And if you know the meter and the melody of the verse, then the long syllables or the short syllables are automatically correct. But there are different meters. The first verse of the Bhagavatam, Shanmadhyasyatam payati taratassa tessabhihyasvat. It's a different meter. Tashevaita payate takovido dalapyate amgamatam yupayata. Dalapyate tukavaanyato sukham. Kalena sabhata kabira ramasa. It's a melody. You know the melody. You will pronounce the syllables long and short, automatically correct. And in the beginning, when I came to this movement, I was reading every evening the Bible, 10 verses of the Bible, unpurported, translation unpurported. And I was reciting them in these meters that I learned. And it's sweet. Then you can, when you preach, you can recite it correctly. Because you have different verses. Shimvata svakata kung punya punya shavana kirtana gajantato yapatrani vidono tu sirsatam. It's also certain. Of course, we are singing every morning. Narayanam namaskrityam naram seva narotanam devim saraswatim yasam tato janmudira. That's the same meter, but these are so much shorter melodies for verses with less syllables, all they have tongue. And then the first verse is, so the Bhagavatam is different. And Madhyasyatam Vayatitaratasa Sabhishasya Tennebramalitaya Atkapi Moyantiatsuya. That's a different special meter. But in Bhagavad Gita, it's simple. Am Sarvasya Prabha from Mata. Yeah, that's very iti matva bhajantimam. Yeah. Am Sarvasya Prabha iti. Yeah. These verses, Bhagavad Gita. Machita Machat Prana Bodhayantis Prasprankatyantis Mamnitam Tushanti Saramantishan. Yeah. So when you learn these verses, these melodies, you can sing it nicely. And Raghunatha Goswami was expert. But Lord Chaitanya ordered him to preach that especially to explain the Bhagavatam, the meaning of the Bhagavatam. And he was a great preacher. But when he would recite the Bhagavatam, tears of love for Krishna would leave his eyes and would fall on the pages. He was so absorbed in Krishna Katha, and he never spoke on worldly topics. But to speak of criticizing the devotees, he never did. He believed that all Vaishnavas were sincerely serving the Lord according to their realization, and therefore one should overlook the faults, never see faults in others. He inspired a wealthy disciple to build the Radha Govindaji temple in Vrindavan. Radha Govinda, it's a temple built with red stones and very high. That was very high, but some Muslim rulers became envious and they removed the top anyway. The temple is still there. Prabhupada visited the temple with his American disciples. You can see pictures from that. Because everything is in temple was hand-caved with hand. And so beautiful that so he for 40 years served the deity there, Govindaji.
And how many temples are in
It's said that every house is a temple in Vrindavan. That's many, but big temples, I don't know, but many. When I went to Vrindavan, because I lived in Vrindavan 10 years, 3 months every year, and we used to visit many temples. The Banki Bihari temple, the Radha Damodar temple, yeah, the famous ones. But there are many other temples you can visit. So many. But, yeah. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, although he was a simple devotee, he was a scholar in all the subjects of the Bhagavatam. He did not write any books like the other Goswamis, but he was very learned. And he learned it just by hearing the Shastra. Yeah. So that is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, a long line brahmachari, was engaged in preaching the Bhagavatam, in Kirtan, that exemplary sannyasa. Now the fourth one is Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami, he was the nephew of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So he had all the body features of a Mahapurush, a great divine person. They have mostly long arms, like Lord Chaitanya. That he had lotus eyes, a high nose, forehead, a broad chest, long arms, and a radiant golden body. It is a body. His body was it showed a radiance of golden color. Yeah. So, in his boyhood, Jiva Goswami, so Jiva Goswami was younger, generation younger than Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. He was his nephew. But he was but Jiva Goswami was, as a boy, was very attached to Krishna and Balaram. So it was so that when he was going to sleep, he would embrace the deities and fall asleep. That would take them to bed. His parents were thinking that he was only playing, but yeah, the villagers, they knew, they were rejoicing, pleased to see how Jiva had love for Krishna and Balaram. But Jiva Goswami, he studied a lot. He studied Sanskrit grammar, poetry, logic, and philosophy. And Srimad Bhagavatam gave life to his life. That the Krishna Katha, the speaking about Krishna, filled him with happiness. To Jiva Goswami, nobody wanted to, nobody even dared to speak about something else than Krishna. That's a great song. So he mastered quickly Sanskrit grammar, poetry, philosophy. And for this, he was going to Navadvip with Nityananda Prabhu. Navadvip is known for study of logic, Nyaya, logic. And he went to Benares. Benares, even today, is famous for study of Sanskrit. Benares in the scriptures is called Varanasi, that's the same. Varanasi or Benares. And he stayed in Vrindavan and he received initiation from Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami became a spiritual master. So once an aging Vaishnava, Vallabhacharya, much to say about Vallabhacharya also, but I just mention him here, that later maybe we can go deeper in Vallabhacharya. But Vallabhacharya came to Vrindavan and he gave critical advice to Rupa Goswami on his writings. But of course, Vallabhacharya was old and Jiva Goswami was young. It's not etiquette to criticize someone who is older. But Jiva Goswami, he decided to defend his guru, Rupa Goswami. And he defeated Vallabhacharya. But when Rupa Goswami heard that, he scolded Jiva Goswami, telling him that you leave Vrindavan, you cannot stay here. And that's not proper. So Jiva Goswami was living for some time in an abandoned crocodile hole in Nandagat, and he began fasting. He was only eating wheat flour, which he baked, mixed with Yamuna water. He was eating the mud. But seeing his strict denial, Sanatana Goswami brought him back to the service of Rupa Goswami. He said to Jiva, Sanatana Goswami said to Rupa Goswami, you have to be Jiva Doya. Jiva means a living entity. Doya means you have to be merciful. Be merciful to him, let him come back. Then he was allowed to come back. Yes.
But how he could defeat him when they have the same vision?
It was, my understanding was it was about technical things in the writings. And he defeated that it was not improper what Rupa Goswami was writing. Of course, the acharyas may have different understandings, opposing understandings of what happened in Krishna's pastimes. You find that many times. They have different opinions. It's like you have an accident with a car and you have 20 witnesses and you have 20 reports. They are all going to say the same. Probably they will be all 20 different of what happened. But on the spiritual platform, you have spiritual angles of vision of the pastime from different perspectives, which are all valid. And sometimes they discuss that like in the Kaliya pastime, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when Kaliya wrapped Krishna in his coils, that Kalya did it because he was angry. He was envious of Krishna and wanted to kill him. And Sanatana Goswami said, no, Kalya felt so attracted to Krishna. And he felt love for Krishna. And therefore he embraced him. And he didn't want to let him go for 20 minutes because he felt so ecstatic embracing him. So different angles of vision. And with Srila Prabhupada, he follows Srila Vishwanath, not Sanatana Goswami. That's interesting. That different opinions, but the aim is the same. But after the disappearance of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, that Jiva Goswami became the head of the Sampradaya, and he was guiding all the other Vaishnavas in Navadvip, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri. Whenever Bengali Vaishnavas would visit Vrindavan, they would davening, receiving, and arrange for prasadam and comfortable rooms. And that old Jiva Goswami did that, and he was guiding them to Vraj on Mandal Parikram, giving tours. That yes, Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami he wrote about 25 books. He wrote 500,000 of Sanskrit verses. That what Jiva Goswami, he wrote the Satsandarbhas. That is the philosophy of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, the Satsandarbhas. It's the essence that of our philosophy. That is Satsandarbhas proof that the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya is the essence of Vedic wisdom and the perfection of religion. In his first Sandarbha, I think Krishna Sandarbha, the first Sandarbha, there he first, well, I don't know exactly in which Sandarbha, but he proves there that the purpose of the Bhagavatam is to understand Bhagavan. He says Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan is absolute truth in all, is the absolute truth in which all the aspects of the absolute truth are revealed. Bhagavan. And Bhagavan has his energies. He controls the energies, spiritual, material. He controls the energies. So he proves that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just through the Bhagavatam first. And then he's proving that Lord Chaitanya is that same Supreme Personality of God. But his books prove that Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and the perfection of religion. He wrote also Gopal Champu on Krishna's pastimes, very beautiful. He wrote the Satsandarbhas. He wrote Harinam Vyakaran, and that's interesting, that Sanskrit grammar. This Sanskrit grammar is still used today in many places in India at universities to teach Sanskrit grammar. And this Harinam Vyakaran teaches Sanskrit grammar based on Krishna's names. They use only Krishna's names. And it's a foremost famous work. It's a standard work in India for studying grammar, Sanskrit grammar, from Jiva Goswami. So these are some aspects of the life of Jiva Goswami. So any questions? Otherwise, Otherwise, we can should we continue with Rupa Goswami? One more. Okay. Rupa Goswami. That so it was in 1517. Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami, his elder brother, came to Vrindavan to fulfill 4 orders of Lord Chaitanya. So that was their mission. They received from Lord Chaitanya that their mission was 4 things. Uncover Sri Krishna's lost pastimes. Just all the places of Krishna's pastimes. Install deities, start puja, write the Bhakti Shastras, the scriptures about Bhakti, and propagate the rules of Bhakti Yoga. How to practice Bhakti Yoga. So Rupa Goswami wrote Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is our manual, how to practice Bhakti. It describes 64 items of devotional service. 10 things to do, 10 things not to do, and 44 items to serve Krishna. And there are 5 most potent items. Rupa Goswami says, is chanting the holy name, that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, residing in a holy place, and worshipping the deity. These 5 things, the most potent. And these 5 things are in our morning program, right? All 5 they are there. So that's come from the teachings of Rupa Goswami. They discovered also Krishna's lost pastimes. Lord Chaitanya himself, he discovered Radha Kund. But all these pastimes, places from Krishna, they were lost. And they revealed them, where these pastimes took place. In Krishna book, all these pastimes in Vrindavan, they revealed it. I went 3 times to Mount Vachamanor Parikram, Vrindavan, 3 times a month. That the first time I did a full month, the second time and the third time about 2 weeks each. But you come in all places where Krishna had his pastimes, and that was revealed, these places, by Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, because they were lost. Vrindavan would not be there today as we know it, because it's by Rupa and Sanatana Goswami that it was revealed. There were Rupa Goswami. He was, they were officially in the renounced order. They were Babajis, dressed in white. So you have the sannyas order. That's a traveling preacher, especially in our movement. The sannyas is a traveling preacher. And above the sannyas, there is the Paramahamsa. We have 4 levels of sannyas, and the highest level is Paramahamsa. Yeah, we have Kuttacha, Baudak, Paivakacharya, and then Paramahamsa. And the Paramahamsa is the Babaji. Yeah, because they give up, they dedicate their lives to staying in a holy place and they chant Hare Krishna. They don't go to preach somewhere else. They stay there. That Babaji is 64 rounds every day at least. Srila Prabhupada gave 2 Babaji initiations, but they could not maintain it. One devotee got the news that he had cancer and not long to live. And Prabhupada gave him Babaji initiation. You stay in Vrindavan, you chant 64 rounds. And he did that for some time, but then he got the news from his doctor that diagnosis was wrong, that it could be cured. And he went back to America with his girlfriend. So it didn't work out as Babaji initiation, the Paramahamsa level. But in our movement, we have only sannyas, parivachak, traveling and preaching. The Kultachak and the Baudak, that is lower levels in the history of sannyas. We presented in the history of sannyas to the sannyas candidates in sannyas school, but anyway, it's a different topic. And that, so in other words, they were just wearing a kalpin, a loincloth, and a kanta, a patchwork kilt, it is said. So Sri Rupa Goswami lived as a mendicant life. He was absorbed in hearing, chanting, and writing about Radha Govinda's sweet loving pastimes in Vrindavan. Sri Rupa Sanatana wrote practical yet profound transcendental books that Sri Rupa Goswami did the extensive research in all the Vedas. We sing, I think, I don't know if I remember. Nana Chastra Vicharana Kanipanam Sadharma Samstapakam Lokana Titakarinam Tribhuvane Manya Saranya Karam Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bachana Nande Namatalika Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Jiva Gopalakam. This is one of the verses of the Sat Goswami Ashtakam. 8 verses clarifying the 6 Goswamis. And here it is said that the 6 Goswamis have extracted the essence of all the scriptures, which is the essence teaching bhakti, and have presented it for our benefit. So we don't have to read all the Vedas. They did it for us and took the essence. But they also, Rupa Goswami also proved through the teachings of Lord Chaitanya that it was the highest philosophy, highest perfection of religion. The followers of Rupa Goswami are called Rupanugas. So we are all Rupanugas. We are following Rupa Goswami. That because Lord Chaitanya, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, was teaching Rupa Goswami nectar of devotion, also Sanatana Goswami, that and requested him to write it all down as a manual for devotees for the future for us. That therefore, yes, Rupa Goswami is very important for us. And then we have Sanatana Goswami. That because Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, we find that in the beginning of Nectar of Devotion, in that their history is described of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. That so we have here, it's written here. So there were two brothers, and they were born in Brahman families. But the Nawab Hussain, he was the ruler, the Muslim ruler. He forced them to become engaged as ministers in his government. So they could not do anything else than accepting that. Otherwise, the Nawab would have made the life of the Vaishnavas very difficult who were there. So they became ministers, and they became very learned. They became proficient in, they knew Sanskrit, they knew Persian, that Hindi was not really existing at that time. That developed later, the Hindi language. That Hindi language developed. It's a mix between Persian and Sanskrit. And merchants who were traveling used that mixed language, and that became, and by that, because they were traveling, the language moved on, and it became the most important language in India, Hindi. But anyway, but they were ministers in the Nawab Hussain government, and their name was, their Muslims' names were Dabir, Qas, and Sakar Malik. But one was the secretary of the Nawab, and the other was the treasurer. That I think Rupa Goswami was the secretary, and the other was the treasurer, Sanatana Goswami, I think. That of it may be otherwise. Rupa Goswami may have been the finance minister, and the other one, the secretary. But because Dabir Qas became later Rupa Goswami. That's probably, Rupa Goswami was probably the finance minister, because he retired from his post and collected all the money that culminated during his service. He was collecting taxes, and he could keep a part of it as his salary. And he had a boat full with gold coins. And when he retired, he gave half away to the Brahmins, 25% to his family, and he kept 25% for emergencies. So he retired, and okay, the Nawab accepted that reluctantly. But when Sanatana Goswami wanted to retire, then the Nawab said that, no, I want you to remain in service. But Sanatana Goswami, because after Sanatana and Rupa Goswami met Lord Chaitanya, they wanted to retire, they wanted to go to be with Lord Chaitanya and engage in his service. The Rupa Goswami got out of it, but Sanatana Goswami, he went to his village because they were Ramakeli. Ramakeli was their village. Because it was because Lord Chaitanya traveled to Ramakeli and met them there the first time. So Sanatana Goswami went to Ramakeli and he reported himself sick to the Nawab, to the Muslim ruler. And he was engaging 25 Brahmins to recite the Bhagavatam and to discuss the Bhagavatam. So I was doing the whole day discussing the Bhagavatam with them. But then the Nawab sent his doctor, and the doctor came there, and he saw that Sanatana Goswami was very healthy. And he reported that to the Nawab. So the Nawab personally came. And he said to Sanatana Goswami, I need your service. I will attack soon Jagannath Puri. And you have to help me. That. So Sanatana Goswami said, yeah, if you go to Jagannath Puri to give trouble to Lord Jagannath, nothing I can do for you. And okay, then I put you in jail. He was put in prison. There was a guard looking after him. And while he was in prison, Sanatana Goswami gets a letter from Rupa Goswami. And he said, Lord Chaitanya will soon be in Varanasi. So please, you bribe this guard and come to Varanasi. And Sanatana Goswami writes him, I've left for you, I think it was 25,000 gold coins or something, or 20,000 gold coins. I don't know how many, but I deposited this with a village banker, a grocery store there. Sanatana Goswami spoke with the guard and said to the guard, he started to glorify him, said, you are a great sage, you are a scholar in the Quran and so on, so you be merciful to me, please let me go. I will give you some money. But the prison guard said, if the Nawab finds out that I let you go, then he will severely punish me. I cannot do that. But Sanatana Goswami said, just tell him, because he had at his ankle shackles with an iron ball. And he said, just say that you went with me to the Ganga and I had to pass stool and I was in the water. And then the stream took me and I was drowned. I didn't come up to the water, so I died. Just tell that to the Nawab. And finally, he promised him a little more money and he could go. But then when Sanatana Goswami was free to go, he wanted to go to Varanasi. But he could not travel to the normal commerce routes, because if they would catch him, so he had to go to the small villages, secondary paths. And he went on his way with a servant, and his servant was Isha, it was his name. And then they came at a hotel. And they stayed in a hotel. But the hotel owner was much too friendly with Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami being a secretary for a long time, that in the service of the Nawab, he knew about, he felt what was happening. So he was thinking he's much too friendly. And he said to Isha in private, "Do you have some money with you?" He said, "Yes." He said, was it 7 or 8 coins? I think it was 8 coins, or 10 coins. But he had some golden coins with him. And Sanatana Goswami said, "Why you are this carrier of death with you? It's very dangerous. So please give that money." And he gave most all money to Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami went to the hotel owner, said, "This is for you." And the hotel owner said, "Good that you give me, because I consulted a palmist and he told me that you have that money with you. So I would have killed you otherwise this night. But now you are so honest, you can keep it." And Sanatana Goswami said, no, you keep it, but engage some man to bring me over this hilly tracks here to Varanasi, because I cannot go to the commercial routes. So, and to Isha, his servant, he said, "We have still some money left." And he said, "Yes, 1 gold coin. Take that and go home." And then he was brought to Varanasi by this helpers, and he came in Varanasi. And at Varanasi, he stopped before the house of Tapana Mishra, and Chandrasekhar Acharya, another devotee, was also there. And Sanatana Goswami, he was still dressed as a Muslim with a beard, was still standing at the door there of Tapana Mishra. And Lord Chaitanya is in the house, and he's of course Krishna, is a superstar in everyone's heart. But he says to Chandrasekhar, is there no devotee outside? And Chandrasekhar went out and looked. He saw Sanatana Goswami, and he came in and he said to Lord Chaitanya, "No, there is no devotee. There is only a Muslim mendicant." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Yeah, let him come in." He let him in, and immediately Sanatana Goswami offered his respects on the floor, and Lord Chaitanya embraced him. But Sanatana Goswami had still a very expensive blanket over him. And he saw Lord Chaitanya looking at it, and he understood Lord Chaitanya does not like it. So then Chandrasekhar, Lord Chaitanya said to Chandrasekhar, "So give him Vaishnava clothes and help him to shave up." So he went to the river and took bath. And at the river, he saw a washerman washing things, something. And he went to the man and he said, because the man had a kind of shedder killed, and he had this expensive shedder. And he said to the man, "Can we trade this with the old one?" And the man was saying, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Yes, don't worry. It's just an exchange. You can have this one. Please accept it." So he got the old one, shaved up, and came to see Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya was very pleased. And Lord Chaitanya taught there for more than 10 days of 2 weeks. I don't remember exactly. He was teaching Sanatana Goswami. It's in 4 chapters of the Madhya Lila in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And he's teaching so many truths. He's teaching all nectar of devotion about the rasas in the spiritual world, so many things. And at the end he asked him, "You should write a book on Vaishnava Achar, the behavior of a Vaishnava." Of course, Lord Chaitanya also instructed Rupa Goswami first at Prayag. Prayag is in Allahabad. I think it's the confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna, I think. And there on the Dasvamedha Ghat, that he instructed Rupa Goswami for 10 days also. He told him the whole science of Krishna consciousness. And a part of it is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these teachings you can read in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. They are there. So before we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, read teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That's the essence. Because Rupa Goswami, he explained his teachings further, and he revealed scriptures and all the authoritative references from the Vedas that proves that all the points he was writing was backed up with authority. They were very large scholars and they were showing this bhakti is based on authorized principles of Vedic knowledge, is the highest knowledge. So our Srila Prabhupada said our Krishna consciousness movement is based on these teachings of Rupa Goswami. So bhakti means devotional service. And they explained all progressive stages to come to that higher realization. Very nice. So that's a Sanatana Goswami, and but Sanatana Goswami was 5 years older than Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami was always serving Sanatana Goswami because he was the first who became attracted to Krishna consciousness. Also, they were born in Bengal. Rupa and Sanatana as Sarasvata Brahmins, and the highest Brahmin caste, but because they had to be engaged in Muslim service, they lost their caste. They had also a brother, Anupam, he passed away at an early age when they were on the way to Orissa to see Lord Chaitanya. Anupam passed away. That's also described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But they were all absorbed in Bhava Bhakti, deep absorption of Krishna from a young age. So these are some essence of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So we went to all the 6 Goswamis. There's much more to say about it. Any questions?
I have a question. Is that related to Goswami? But Lord Chaitanya, I once read that once Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya, and